fast.
With Babbel, you can start having conversations in another language in just 3 weeks.
¿Cómo te llamas?
¿Cómo te llamas?
When you learn a language, you want to actually use it. Babbel is designed with that goal in mind.
In just 3 weeks, we're starting to have conversations in Spanish. Gracias, Babbel.
Babbel, language for life. Now try Babbel for free at Babbel.com. That's Babbel.com.
Home of the Philadelphia Eagles.
They got him again!
Sixers.
Bang! It's good! Ball game!
And Flyers. 97.3 ESPN, WENJ, WENJ HD, Millville, Atlantic City, a Town Square media station serving all of South Jersey. This is Game Night with Josh Hinnick.
It's good!
On 97.3 ESPN and the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app.
And he scored!
Now live from inside the Ocean Casino Resort Studio, here's Josh Hinnick.
What was your reaction pregame when you found out he'd be running with you guys tonight?
Oh, man, I was like, my heart dropped because I was scared for the other team, but he got to find his rhythm. You know, he's been out for a while, and it was just amazing to have him back. I think the whole NBA community missed him, and we definitely missed him over here in this organization.
That was Kelly Oubre after the Sixers got the win last night in Joel Embiid's return. What an amazing night if you are a Philadelphia sports fan. I am Josh Hennick. I am back from a day off. Took a personal day, get some personal stuff done yesterday. But I didn't miss the 2 games last night. No, sir. I wasn't going to miss the Phillies and the Sixers. And I'm so glad I didn't because I got to see Harper and Embiid dominate the city in front of all those people and all the WWE people who are coming to town. They got to see greatness on display with Bryce Harper, and they got to see the return of the reigning league MVP. All that and more this hour on Game Night on 97.3 ESPN FM and a 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Sea Isle City. It is a Weinberg Wednesday. Dave Weinberg will join us coming up in about 20 minutes from now. As always, you guys can join the conversation at 609-403-0973. Also, your DMs into the 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Sea Isle City. So much to get to here. And, you know, when you look back on last night, you know, it was one of those nights where you don't always plan certain things. Like, for those who don't know, okay, if you know me personally, you know that I'm the kind of person who does a lot of planning with my life because of some of the odd elements and aspects and demands of my daily life. So I'm a very structured individual, but sometimes you can't plan for everything. And last night was one of those nights I realized that you kind of just have to go with the flow, as someone once told me. And so what we did last night was we realized the Phillies games, we had already started watching the Phillies game before the Sixers game ever tipped off. You know, the Phillies started an hour earlier last night than the Sixers. And tonight's Phillies game, for those who didn't hear the news, will be started around 7:30 or 7:45 tonight. So if you are looking for the Phillies and wondering why or if they're going to play, well, I know the why. If you looked outside, it's been torrential downpours all day long. But yeah, the Phillies will start between 7:30 and 7:45 tonight. Which I'll get into that whole situation in a minute, okay? Because that whole situation got me a little annoyed. I'll put it nicely. But back to last night. So we made the decision because the Phillies game had already started and we were already watching it, that because we had DVR'd both games, we paused the Phillies game, made sure we had some food to eat. We sat down and watched the Phillies from beginning to end. Then when the Phillies game was completely done, we jumped on the DVR around like 9:30-ish and watched the Sixers game. And I'm so glad we did because we got to see 2 amazing games last night for very different reasons. Bryce Harper was 0 for 11 heading into last night's game. And I thought John Kruk said it very well last night when he said that Harper looked balanced in the box. And what an amazing, incredible situation to hear about, I mean, how I even verbalize this. It was amazing to watch. It was like a weight was lifted off his shoulders. It was as if Bryce Harper, the light finally went off after he hit that first home run. And even the one out that he got, which he was frustrated afterward, you knew he was frustrated, not because he wasn't playing well, but because he realized, I'm back in a groove right now. I got my mojo back. I got my rhythm back. And when he hit that grand slam, can you imagine if it was actually a nice day out, if it was a nice day at the ballpark, how loud those fans would have gotten for that grand slam? That grand slam would have blown the roof off Citizens Bank Park. They would have heard that hundreds of miles away. But instead, credit to the handful of fans that stayed at the Phillies game through the miserable weather last night. And how about the pitching? We didn't get a chance to talk about that much today on the Sports Bash with Mike Gill. Can we talk about what on earth we just saw last night? First of all, Spencer Turnbull, he is literally just filling in. He's literally the dude who just is there because they needed somebody. Mr. Break glass in case of emergency went out there and pitched really good. 7 strikeouts in 5 innings. 3 hits allowed. And the only run that scored was an unearned run. And it just goes to show you how important talent evaluation is in a sport like baseball. You could argue that talent evaluation is more important in baseball than any other sport, because you look at the guy's career stats and you say, man, this guy is all over the place. He has been up and down and up and down and left and right. He's been injured. He's been solid. He led the league one year in losses. One year he has a 4.61 ERA. Another year he has a 3.97 ERA. Last year he was not good at all for the Detroit Tigers. But this is a guy who was a second-round pick in the baseball draft. And just like the guy who came in for him, Pinto, you have 2 pitchers who people saw something in them still to get them moving, right? You know, the story how Pat Gallen saw Pinto in the Caribbean Series and told Dave Dombrowski, hey, you should probably go get this guy. The fact that Dave Dombrowski was a part of the Tigers organization that drafted Spencer Turnbull over a decade ago. You're talking about old talent evaluators that were able to see potential in these guys. Now, it doesn't mean that Pinto and Turnbull are going to go out there and every time that they pitch, they're going to pitch well. But it just shows you that if it wasn't for these old school talent evaluators, you wouldn't have either of those pitchers going last night. And you could argue that between Pinto and Turnbull, they saved this team's bullpen for the next several days. Because even if the Phillies do get the game in, as they say tonight, around 7:30, 7:45, you're going to have a day off on Thursday. 3 games in Washington for the Phillies. Then they got Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday in St. Louis. Back on the plane, back to Philadelphia for a 4-game set with the Pirates. Can you imagine if the Phillies had to go to their bullpen again last night? That would have been doomsday. I mean, Tom McCarthy was only almost half joking last night during the broadcast, saying, well, this guy's not available, and this guy's not available. And I mean, Crucker was miserable as the day was long at the very beginning of that game. He didn't want to be there as much as anybody else didn't want to be there. But as the game went on, and this is the power of a superstar. This is what makes great players who they are. They change everything. They change the dynamics for their teammates. They changed the dynamics for the fans. They changed the environment in the building. And when Harper and Embiid played last night, you felt the air was different. You felt the environment was different. You felt the vibe was different. And Harper having that monster night last night, I remember saying out loud last night, this is why this guy is a future Hall of Famer, because he can go 0 for 11 and then have this amazing, incredible, elite game on a rainy Tuesday night. Again, the Phillies are supposed to be back in action tonight around 7:30, 7:45 to finish out the series with the Reds, which I don't know if you guys have heard this story, but apparently there's a story that Citizens Bank Ballpark is reserved tomorrow for a private wedding, and that's part of the reason why they're trying to get this game in, and also because the fact that the Reds don't come back to Philadelphia this year for a series. So apparently that is part of the reason why they're trying to get this game in. I mean, I never heard of this in my life. I mean, first of all, whoever's idea it was to, first of all, why is Citizens Bank Ballpark booking weddings in the middle of the season? Isn't the whole point of having the extra day off in case you can move the rain out there? So first of all, whoever did that, bad job by you. Like, if you want to book the ballpark on a day that you know the Phillies have a road game, I get that. You know, when the Phillies are in St. Louis Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, you want to have a wedding one of those nights when the Phillies are, I mean, I got to put the Phillies schedule exactly, but when is a day? Let's see here. I'm looking at their schedule right now. Thursday, April 25th. Friday, April 26th. They're on the road. They're nowhere near Philadelphia. Monday, the 29th, the 30th, May 1st. These are all days they're nowhere in town. It's just stupidity by people. I mean, I would have told the wedding to take a long walk on a short pier. I mean, I don't know how much money you're making off that thing. Give the wedding people a free ticket to the game, whatever. Who cares? Just so dumb to me. Over to the Sixers. So we finished watching Bryce Harper, Brandon Marsh, Ricardo Pinto, who showed up in the 4th inning, pitched 4 innings, saved the Phillies bullpen. Amazing game. What an incredible game to watch. Then we started watching the Sixers game. Embiid looks good, man. Physically, he looks in shape. And he explained after the game a couple interesting points. One, Embiid after the game, that this injury has been very, very impactful on, to the point where he was depressed. And he was doing everything he possibly could to get his mind off of the injury in order for him to not lose focus on the big picture. He said he got more involved in taking his son to and from school. He would hit the gym more often. He was doing anything he could to get his mind off of the injury. And I got to tell you guys, that is an amazing admission by a professional athlete to say that how this impacted him. And Joel Embiid said another reason why he wanted to return last night was because of the fans. And it's starting to become a common refrain. You know, whether it's Jason Kelsey, whether it's any of these guys who play in Philadelphia, there is more and more athletes coming out who are Philadelphia athletes who are saying that the fans help make them what they are. This was Joel Embiid last night after the game, talking about the passion of the Philly fan basically driving him to play.
There's a lot, obviously, going back to the fans, and that's one reason why I always play, even when I'm not at my best, is because been in this city for a long time, man. You know, the love and the passion. I've always been passionate, but when you have fans like that behind you that are also passionate, it just makes you, want to play through anything. Because that's Philly.
It's an amazing perspective by Embiid. On one hand, he's saying the injury made him so depressed. On the other hand, he said, I feel like I gotta be out there. These fans are so passionate. They're more passionate than even I am. And I feel he basically felt like he was driven to be out there for the fans. And boy, it was his impact felt immensely. Because you look at the way that game played out. And, Tom from the Villas is right at 609, 403, 0973. Kelly Oubre really stepped up again last night. And you're right. It has been multiple games that Oubre has stepped up. And I'll get to Oubre in a minute. But for Embiid, you saw it wasn't just the fans. And I understand a lot of people keep bringing up the fans and how they reacted to Embiid last night, which, by the way, bad job by the TNT broadcast to not show the introductions of Joel Embiid and the Sixers last night. So the national and local, remember that game was not on NBC Sports Philadelphia. So there was no local telecast last night. And as a result, nobody could turn on their television and see the moment that they announced that Joel, the process, Embiid. No, none of that. No, it was just Spiro Dinas and Reggie Miller here for the game. Embiid's here. What a bad job by the TNT folks. Huge fail by them. But back to Joel, you could see the players were elevated by him being out there. And sure, Oubre is one of them, but Tom in the Villas is right. It wasn't just last night. Oubre has been playing well in the last several games. You go back to, and I don't remember the exact game was, but I know he was not healthy at the beginning of the month. But you go back to the Mavs game that they won, by the way. Don't forget they won that Mavs game about a month ago. To last night. So in a 16-game stretch, Oubre's averaging almost 20 points per game in that stretch. And even more importantly, it's the fact that he's stuffing the stat sheet. He's getting a steal and a block per game. 1 steal, 1 block a game. 6 rebounds a game. Almost 2.5 assists a game. And while the three-point shooting has been erratic at times, and I will fully admit that, you got to give Oubre a lot of credit for stepping up into a role that shouldn't be his responsibility. It should not be Kelly Oubre's responsibility to be the Joel Embiid sidekick when Tyrese Maxey goes down. Tobias Harris apparently is such a beta-minded individual that he is incapable of being an adult and just saying, my team needs me. Now, look, he did have 5 threes last night, and Tobias obviously was playing better with Embiid on the court than without him. But I thought Oubre, the way he attacked the basket, the way he attacked the game all night, Oubre's had some pretty fancy defensive moments in the last month plus. And he was the big guy who stepped up with Joel Embiid out there. The other guy I thought that was really cool was Paul Reed. We had talked about on the Sports Bash with Mike Yell here on 97.3 ESPN. Josh Hennig hanging out with you on a Wednesday night. Mike Yell and I had talked about previously about how when Paul Reed is the backup, he can go back to being the Energizer Bunny backup. He was incredibly efficient last night. He had a lot of bounce. He led the bench with 12 points. He had more points off the bench than anyone else. And I thought it was interesting in a game where you could have argued that the Sixers should have been shorthanded. The Sixers didn't play like they were shorthanded. They played like they were in it to win it. And there were many moments of the game where you saw that just Joel Embiid playing out there, it was like the guys looked at Joel and said, I see you, big man. I see you, Joel. We got you. Joel had 7 assists last night. That goes untalked about. Look, people could talk about all they want about the points, but the fact that Joel had 7 assists in his first game playing since January is an incredible sign that the players around him believed in what he was bringing to the table. And he will only get better with more games. He will only get more efficient. He will only get more, he'll only get better. But man, you got to give the players around him a ton of credit, because what Oubre, Harris hitting the threes, I hate giving him credit, but I got to give him credit. He hit 5 threes last night. The fact that Embiid elevated all of those guys, Campaign hitting 2 threes of his own, and then Paul Reed coming in with the 12 points off the bench. The whole team did an amazing job at fighting a Oklahoma City Thunder team that is playing for the number 1 seed in the Western Conference. And they could have won the game multiple times. The Thunder had so many offensive rebounds yesterday. It was disgusting. Like, in what reality should the OKC Thunder get 12 offensive rebounds in that game? Absolutely ridiculous. You know, the Sixers last night got out-rebounded by an Oklahoma City Thunder team whose big man looks like he weighs less than I do. For as talented as Chet Holmgren is, the dude needs a sandwich. I mean, the dude needs some meat on his bones. He needs to do some push-ups. He needs to do something. And the fact that that Thunder team, with all of those long, lanky dudes, got 12 offensive rebounds and 43 total rebounds, that is something Sixers got to work on moving forward. I understand you had a small lineup out there. Payne and Lowry in the backcourt, and Embiid, Harris, and Oubre in the front court. But man, I don't know if the answer is changing your starting lineup. I don't know if the answer is changing the style of play, or just you're more worried about Embiid being adapted into this offense. Whatever your thinking is, the open threes, as Reggie Miller pointed out on the broadcast, and just the sheer amount of opportunities that Oklahoma City Thunder got last night, which is really bad. So, all right, there are some of my thoughts on the Sixers and the Phillies. Coming up next, I'll get to all your text 609-403-0973. Jeff in Ocean City. Tom from the Villas want to revisit what you put on the text board as well. Also, your guys' DMs into the 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank. See how Josh Hennig hanging out with you on a Wednesday night. Again, Phillies supposed to play 7:30, 7:45 is supposed to be the first pitch for the game tonight. So it looks like you will not have a night without Philadelphia sports. So you got the Phillies tonight, Sixers tomorrow, Flyers on Friday. So you got every night covered this week with Philadelphia sports. Josh Hennig hanging out with you. 97.3 ESPN FM, the 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Sea Isle City.
It's Sixers Heat tomorrow night on 97.3 ESPN with the voice of the Sixers, Tom McGinnis, calling all the exciting play-by-play action.
Oubre bounces to Joel. Straight away. Fucking it's good. Tie game. 101.
Coverage begins at 7:30. It's Sixers basketball all season long on South Jersey's radio home for Philadelphia 76ers basketball. 97.3 ESPN.
Oh yeah, it's on at Matt Blatt Nissan.
If you're currently stuck in a loan or lease, AJ the Trademan can get you released at BlattNissan.com. It's on at Matt Blatt Nissan on the Black Horse Pike in Harper Township.
EasyCater has everything you need to make food for work. Work. From ordering to reporting, we even keep your receipts all in one place, which means all you need to do is sit back and enjoy.
You're not having any lasagna?
All I can taste is hours of expense reports.
Relax, you used EasyCater. Enjoy the food, Ray.
Oh, no, thanks.
Enjoy it.
That's amazing.
Yes, Ray. It is amazing. 100,000 restaurants and everything you need to make food for work, work. Order 24/7 at easycater.com.
You're going to feel a puff of air.
Strong's Optometry has set their sights on staffing up.
Try the next line. Hey, Kim, can you tell our 2 o'clock we're running 15 behind? Sorry, we're a bit backed up today.
He needs an optometric technician to keep an eye on it all.
Where are the dilation drops?
Indeed can help him hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. You can schedule and conduct virtual interviews all from your employer dashboard. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Drivers who switch and save with Progressive could save hundreds, which could be life-changing. I mean, you could put that money towards that zero-turn lawnmower you've always wanted. And after using its edge-shaping technology to meticulously sculpt the face of the Mona Lisa into your grass, you'll become the undisputed king of Saturday morning lawn care, leaving your neighbor and sworn enemy Gary to question his place in the delicate neighborhood ecosystem. And it's all because you could save money switching at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, not available in all states.
The good folks at Wendy's have a revolutionary new product for you. Introducing the new Orange Dreamsicle Frosty. It's like a time machine that takes you all the way back to now, the year 2024. It's the classic, creamy, orangey flavor you remember. Dare I say, it's new-timey. It's the flavor you grew up with, just all grown up. Head over to your local Wendy's establishment and get yours while supplies last. The new Orange Dreamsicle Frosty. Here for the now, for now. Limited time only. Participating Wendy's.
Sneezing, coughing, stuffy nose, runny nose, post-nasal drip, interrupted sleeping. I was groggy at the end of the day.
Allergies and sinus congestion were making Jana miserable. Then a friend recommended Navage. Navage provides immediate drug-free congestion relief, flushing your nasal passages with refreshing saline and sucking out mucus, germs, and other airborne irritants. Navage helps you breathe easier, sleep better, and feel your best right away.
Navage gave me instant relief. I didn't have to wait 30 minutes. I didn't have to wait an hour, 90 minutes. I didn't have to wait a minute. I ran the rinse and I felt better.
Stop suffering from congestion and start breathing and feeling your best again with Navage. Navage.
I've had people ask me how I find relief, and I tell them Navage immediately. This thing is amazing.
Navage is available at Navage.com or at Walmart, Walgreens, CVS, and Rite Aid.
For the ones who work hard to ensure their crew can always go the extra mile, and the ones who get in early so everyone can go home on time, there's Grainger, offering professional-grade supplies backed by product experts so you can quickly and easily find what you need. Plus, you can count on access to a committed team ready to go the extra mile for you. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
A healthy weight, more energy, and smooth, regular bowel movements. 3 things everyone strives for.
It's me, Chuck Norris. There's one really important thing we don't talk about enough. Our health, achy joints, digestive issues, weight gain, and fatigue. We're told these are normal signs of aging. So working with a team of health experts, we came up with Morning Kick.
Morning Kick is a revolutionary formula combining 10 different supplements in one. Probiotics that help you lose weight, prebiotics for digestion, superfoods for muscles and joints, and several of the most powerful anti-aging supplements on earth. It'll help you feel youthful, energized, focused, and help manage stress.
Anybody can achieve great health regardless of their age.
Go to roundhouseprovisions.com. Use code SUPPORT or text SUPPORT to 511-511 and claim 40% off today.
Every purchase comes with our 90-day money-back guarantee.
Text SUPPORT to 511-511. Morning Kick. These statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. Tax fees may apply.
Hey Flyers fans, it's time to level up your game day ritual with the ultimate power duo, the Philadelphia Flyers and Union Forge Vodka. Picture this, the thrill of the game, roar of the crowd, and in your hand, a glass of ultra smooth, 6 times distilled Union Forge perfection. Union Forge is made right here in Philly, so whether you're cheering at the arena or creating your fan zone at home, make it epic with Union Forge Vodka, the official vodka of the Philadelphia Flyers. Cheer on the Flyers with the best tasting vodka produced right here in Philly. Grab a Union Forge bottle today.
This is Game Night with Josh Hennig on 97.3 ESPN and the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app.
Back to the text board in just a moment at 609-403-0973. That is the text board, your DMs into the 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank Seattle. By the way, we mentioned this a little bit in passing this week. The fact that WrestleMania coming to Philadelphia is so massive that they are literally kicking the teams out of the city because it is such a massive takeover. It just goes to show you that not every mainstream sport is the same. It's really not. And I'm not saying necessarily that like professional wrestling, WWE, deserves to be in the same conversation as the Big Four or in the same conversation as the World Cup or anything like that. They're all different, okay? Look, we all know that in this country, the NFL is king. And then it comes down to, what kind of family you grew up in and your personal preferences, right? For some people, you grew up in certain families. The NBA might be number 2. For other people, baseball is number 2, okay? For some people, hockey is like the number 1 thing in their lives. And what's frustrating sometimes is that like hockey fan is not always fan of other sports. And sometimes fans of other sports are always fans of hockey. So, when you find somebody who is a 4-for-4 fan, it's unique and it's cool. But when it comes to professional wrestling, this is an entity that is gone back decades in growing to what it is today. And it was encapsulated during the Phillies broadcast last night. For those who actually watched the Phillies broadcast, they had Kofi Kingston join John Kruk and Tom McCarthy in the booth. And Krucker is sitting there talking about how, if the Phillies are not in the World Series, he said, and he had to choose between a World Series game and watching Monday Night Raw, which is the WWE's flagship show for many, many years, he would watch WWE Monday Night Raw, which surprised Kofi Kingston. And, Krucker explained that, he grew up in a world where professional wrestling was like a huge part of, what they talked about, what they watched. It was an event, right? And the fact that even in today's world of social media and in today's world of you can watch anything, anytime, anywhere. I mean, I was talking with somebody today in the kitchen here at the radio station, in our work kitchen, one of the other show hosts on the other stations, because we have multiple radio stations in our building, for those who don't know. And he was telling me how, he gets lost in these, these rabbit holes of YouTube. He said he'll just watch YouTube videos for hours. And, I told him, I was like, yeah, I'm the same way when it comes to a show on Hulu or Disney Plus, and it's amazing with the amount of available content that we have at our fingertips in today's world that a sport, it's not even really a sport, an entertainment property like professional wrestling can literally turn to a city like Philadelphia and said, Phillies get out, Sixers get out, Flyers get out. We're taking over your city for the weekend. Get out, whether you like it or not. And they are having events at Wells Fargo, at Lincoln Financial Field. They are taking over every facet of the city. And it just goes to show you that, with over 12 million people watching Caitlin Clark in Iowa play Angel Reese at LSU the other night, with the gargantuan numbers for the NFL, with the popularity still of an entity like WWE, with this still growing. I mean, there was a sold out crowd in Atlantic City for UFC on Saturday night. And, for a diehard fan like me who watches almost every single card, even for me, I was like, I got to double check who some of these people are. Like, even for me, it was not a name brand card. And all those people showed up for the event. And there were people watching on ESPN and ESPN2. And it just goes to show you that how far we have come. I know I'm going on a bit of a tangent. I'll get the text message in just a minute at 609-403-0973. It just goes to show you how far we have come from the numbskulls who used to text me in 2020 when I had to be on the radio every day during the COVID lockdowns, who used to text in and say, sports are never coming back. The world is coming to an end. Things are never going back to normal. All these teams and all these sports are going to die. And look where we are now. 4 years later, you could argue that sports may be as popular, not more popular than they were 4 years ago. It's just incredible. And yes, for the handful of you out there who love to hear my pro wrestling picks, even though I am the furthest thing from a professional wrestling analyst or insider, I got your picks on Friday, okay? We're not doing it tonight. Text board is open at 609-403-0973. Your DMs into 973 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank Seattle. Jeff from Motion City says, how does Tobias Harris shoot 5 for 8 from 3, then 0 for 6 from 2? By the way, Josh, I think Matt Cord's job is safe with the Sixers. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, Matt Cord. Listen, if anyone was going to take Matt Cord's job, it wouldn't be me. If anyone have a chance at being the Sixers in-arena announcer, it would probably be Mike Gill. I think Mike Gill probably could own that job with the way his voice can belt. I don't have that type of announcer in-arena voice. I don't. It's not my forte. You know, maybe if I spent like an entire year becoming like a method actor and like becoming a method announcer, you know what I mean? It's like, oh my goodness, what was that one story? Trying to remember. Oh, so Dave Chappelle told this story one time. I had to retell the story because you can never play it on radio because I violated multiple FCC violations. But apparently Dave Chappelle, he was a huge Jim Carrey fan. And they went to meet Jim Carrey, and Jim Carrey was so into his character, he insisted people call him by the name of the character he was playing in the movie. So I would have to be in that level of like method. I'd have to go so deep in the character that I would never come up for air in order to master that type of an arena announcer type of inflections and, you know, booming. Whereas for someone like for Mike Gill in Matt Cord, it comes naturally to them. But back to Jeff from Motion City's original question. How does Tobias Harris do it? Because Tobias Harris is just not a great basketball player. Tobias Harris got paid a lot of money because he was a free agent at a time when the NBA market valued his type of player. And Tobias Harris never got better than what he is. Tobias Harris is the player or the athlete who gets to a certain level of ability and skill and talent and never is more than that. He never evolves beyond that. He never grows beyond that. Tobias Harris is content with being Tobias Harris. He's not ever trying to be more than that. And there are just some people who are like that in life. Tobias Harris is one of those people who He could be more. He could give you more. He could do all these things, but he never will be more than what he is. And it's a sad state of affairs because for a guy who is his size, he has trouble making layups. For a guy his size, he has trouble boxing out for rebounds at times. For a guy whose only job is to be a professional basketball player, he is a mediocre at best ball handler. For a guy whose only job is to be a professional athlete, you would think that he would take the emotional and mental energy into being the best version of himself. And instead, he's just content with being who he is. And some people are just like that. And I resigned myself a long time ago to just accepting the fact that Tobias Harris is what he is. He'll never be more than that. And who cares? Tom from the Villas chimes in at 609-403-0973. Says, with all the excitement last night, one guy that gets lost in the mix is Kelly Oubre. Oubre, the last 2 games, has really stepped up, giving us some really good basketballs from Tom in the Villas. Oubre does deserve a lot of credit, Tom. As I mentioned earlier, Oubre is a guy who kind of got lost for a while there. He was a guy who was overlooked for a while because it was almost like he lost his way, right? In the aftermath of whatever happened, right, months ago, there's all kinds of conjecture. Not going to get involved in it here. But in the aftermath of him going through whatever he went through, bicycle or not, but he went from being this potential 6th man of the year to you go back from, December 6th to January 25th. And I don't want to say the guy was useless, but he just wasn't contributing. And it was like he was an invisible player to the point where you didn't know what role he had anymore on this team. And it was getting to the point where the deadline was coming up. He was starting to ask questions about, does Oubre have a role in this team anymore? Do we have to get somebody else to fill that role for Oubre on this team? And you looked around and you were like, man, like this guy has been invisible for so many games. And he goes from being that guy to, now he's had some down games in recent weeks. I'm not going to take that away. The 4-point game against the Cavs was ridiculous. But he has gone from that to being a consistent contributor. And I still go back to the block that he had in the Clippers win in Los Angeles a couple weeks ago. It was an example of this guy is trying to win games. And it was a perfect example to tell Pat Bev, take a long walk on a short pier, okay? I mean, for a guy who does a lot of talking, he does a lot of talking wrong. Pat Beverly is trying to say that, the people on the Bucks are trying to win while the guys on the Sixers are just about padding their stats. That Oubre block was not a guy trying to pad his stats. That was a guy who was trying to win games. And I think Oubre deserves a ton of credit for how he stepped up. It's a good point by Tom the Villas on the text board. Jerry with a G from Brigantine chimes in. He says, one thing that Flyer fans can't face is that back when they went on strike, or were going to go on the strike the last time, the networks looked for an equitable sport, and what they found, same audience as hockey, is the rodeo. Now, a lot of hockey fans get upset when they learn that but it's so true. Wrestling could very easily kick hockey off the stage. That's from Jerry G and Brigantine. All right, a couple things, Jerry. First of all, I think I understand what you're trying to say. If you did voice to text there, voice to text didn't do you any favors. Just letting you know. I always tell people voice to text and autocorrect are the enemy of mankind. Okay. The fact that we're depending on AI for anything, I think is ridiculous. I've seen enough Terminator movies to know that when Skynet becomes self-aware, we're all going to die. Okay. Ultron tried to kill all of humanity. I'm not here for the AI depending on that stuff. So I suggest people never depend on autocorrect or AI for anything. That's just my TED talk for the day. We'll push that aside. But back to what Jerry was saying. You're right. There is a contingent of hockey fan who is still mad that in the aftermath of the first hockey strike that they got relegated to basically the most miserable channels that people couldn't find, like Versus, which later became NBC Sports Philadelphia. They weren't on the major networks anymore. You know, there was a time in the 90s where the NHL was on Fox and ESPN had the NHL games, and we all, it was a huge part of almost like a sports Americana, that NHL ESPN music and Gary Thorne calling the game with Bill Clement and all those guys. And you're right. There's a contingent of hockey fan that was so mad that they were so easily replaced. But I think the part of the problem is that for hockey fans, you got to stop being mad about that and just try to recruit more people to your cause. You know, I'm watching the UFC fights on Saturday night, and the person I'm watching with, she turns to me and she says, you know, I've never really sat down and watched this before, but now that I'm watching it, I'm actually enjoying it. And part of the reason why she said that was because of the fact that the sportsmanship that the UFC fighters show, the fact that, you know, they're fighting so intensely and they're hugging each other after the fight. They're talking to each other. They're giving each other fist pounds. They're patting each other on the head. You know, there was a sportsmanship respect among the fighters. And for someone who doesn't watch fighting, combat sports, right, they may not know that. I think the same thing with hockey. I think the problem with hockey is that there's a lot of people who have they have opinions about the game that are not real. They only think these, what's the word I'm looking for? They look at hockey and they have these opinions about hockey that are not real or not true because they don't really watch hockey that much. And so maybe if hockey fans spent more time trying to share with other people how fun hockey is to watch instead of being mad at people because they don't watch hockey, maybe hockey fans wouldn't be so ridiculous at times. I like hockey. I enjoy hockey. And I find from my experience that usually when you get people to watch hockey, the majority of them enjoy the game after you show it to them and explain it to them and get them up to speed. Listen, typically the only people who don't like hockey are the people who like soccer, okay? Soccer fan doesn't understand sports that are fast and are high-paced and have a lot of scoring potential, okay? Because soccer fan tries to act like their game is chess. And they come to find out, compared to other sports, that their game is not chess. The game of soccer is basically a real world equivalent. It's definitely not chess, okay? Listen, I got forced to play soccer in high school because I went to a high school without a football team, okay? Soccer is like shuffleboard, okay? You think that you're playing this intricate, elaborate, methodical game, but then you realize when you watch it that it's boring as watching paint dry, okay? That's the problem with hockey. Some of the fans who watch hockey have these predetermined ideas about hockey, and that's the reason why. Now, back to Jerry with a G from Brigantines. Jerry, you got to come up with a better name than Jerry with a G from Brigantine, okay? I love you texting into the station, but it's not easy to say. Jerry with a G from Brigantine's point about wrestling is a good point, though, because wrestling has a wider range of appeal. Because wrestling can draw in 3 different types of people. For someone like me, I appreciate pro wrestling because of how athletic they are. One of the coolest events I ever went to was the WWE in Wildwood at the convention center. Watching those athletes up close, I was very, very, very fortunate to sit basically ringside for that event. And I highly encourage anyone, if you just want to be entertained for a night, go to a wrestling event, because to see these athletes, the men and the women, the flips and the dives and the theatrics that they do, it's incredible to watch. So for someone like me, I go and watch it because I'm like, man, this is just, how do they do this stuff? And it's so understandable why people like The Rock and Dave Bautista and John Cena can make the transition from pro wrestling to acting in Hollywood. For some people, they do love the drama. It basically is a, for lack of a better term, an adult soap opera to an extent. The storylines and the acting. And then for some people, your people who scroll on IG all day long and like pictures of pretty people. Yeah, there's some nice aesthetics to look at too. Okay, so you're right, Jerry G from Breaking Tea. There are a lot of people who would probably be drawn to pro wrestling, again, if they actually were introduced to and explained to them. All right. Got to hit the break. George from Summers Point, I'm going to get your text on the other side. Josh Hennick hanging out with you on 97.3 ESPN FM and a 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Sea Isle City.
With 64 games in the books, UConn, Purdue, NC State, and Alabama now converge on Phoenix, with just 2 more wins needed to claim the 2024 NCAA Men's Basketball Championship. Tune in this Saturday to hear Westwood One's exclusive coverage of the NCAA Final Four.
Listen to the NCAA Tournament, the Final Four, on 97.3 ESPN. Coverage begins at 4:30.
Gonna feel a puff of air.
Jong's Optometry has set their sights on staffing up.
Try the next line. Hey, Kim, can you tell our 2 o'clock we're running 15 behind? Sorry, we're a bit backed up today.
He needs an optometric technician to keep an eye on it all.
Where are the dilation drops?
Indeed can help him hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. You can schedule and conduct virtual interviews all from your employer dashboard. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
For the ones who work hard to ensure their crew can always go the extra mile, and the ones who get in early so everyone can go home on time, there's Grainger, offering professional-grade supplies backed by product experts so you can quickly and easily find what you need. Plus, you can count on access to a committed team ready to go the extra mile for you. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
2 for $222. 2 for $222. Drive home 2 new Kias at Matt Blatt Kia for just $222 per month. For the first time, get 2 new Kias for $222 at Matt Blatt Kia, where you can get a brand new 2024 Kia Forte LXS for just $111 per month lease with a 0 security deposit and just $39.95 due at signing. With a price like that, why not get 2 for $222? That's a brand new 2024 Kia Forte, 24-month lease for $111 per month, or drive home 2 for $222. Both with Matt Blatt Kia's exclusive 4-day love it or leave it return policy.
It's gotta be a Matt Blatt Kia.
With approved credit, not all will qualify. Credit may affect down payment. Offers can't be combined. Go to mattblattkianj.com for complete details or 888-505-6670. Price includes all costs to be paid by consumer except for licensing, registration, and taxes through KMF. 24 months, $20 per month, 10,000 miles per year. Rebates and incentives to dealer. Expires 4/2/24. Matt Blatt Kia, 6211 Black Horse Pike, Harper Township, and on Route 37 in Toms River.
The good folks at Wendy's have a revolutionary new product for you. Introducing the new Orange Dreamsicle Frosty. It's like a time machine that takes you all the way back to now, the year 2024. It's the classic, creamy, orangey flavor you remember. Dare I say, it's new-timey. It's the flavor you grew up with, just all grown up. Head over to your local Wendy's establishment and get yours while supplies last. The new Orange Dreamsicle Frosty. Here for the now, for now.
Limited time only at participating Wendy's.
Progressive asks, what do a slow Friday night, bored teenage boys,
I'm bored.
a pack of fireworks,
This is gonna be awesome.
and a teetering branch suspended over your car have in common?
Look out!
They can quickly wreak havoc on your slow Friday night.
Uh-oh.
Bundle your home and auto with Progressive for great savings and round-the-clock protection.
Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliates, and other insurers. Not available in all states or situations.
Some days I cover up because of my moderate to severe plaque psoriasis. Now I'm hitting the road with clearer skin thanks to Skyrizi, Risankizumab Risa, a prescription-only 150 milligram injection for adults who are candidates for systemic or phototherapy. With Skyrizi, 3 out of 4 people achieved 90% clearer skin at 4 months. And Skyrizi is just 4 doses a year after 2 starter doses.
Don't use if allergic to Skyrizi. Serious allergic reactions and an increased risk of infections or a lower ability to fight them may occur. Before treatment, your doctor should check for infection and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor if you have an infection or symptoms such as fever, sweats, chills, muscle aches, or cough, or if you plan to or recently received a vaccine.
Thanks to Skyrizi, there's nothing on my skin, and that means everything. Ask your doctor today about Skyrizi, the #1 dermatologist-prescribed biologic in psoriasis, and visit skyrizi.com or call 1-866-SKY-RIZI to learn more.
97.3 ESPN has teamed up with Seize the Deal for incredible weekly offers from some fantastic local restaurants. Here's this week's big deal.
Get a $50 gift card, good for use at the Ravioli House in Wildwood for just $25.
Get this great deal starting Friday at 9 a.m. at seizethedeal.com. Hurry, chances are this deal will sell quickly. For more info on this great deal, go to seizethedeal.com.
SeizeTheDeal.com. Now, more Game Night with Josh Hennick on 97.3 ESPN and on the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app, powered by First Bank of Sea Isle City.
All right, as promised, I want to get to George from Summers Point. Jeff from Bush Theory. George from Summers Point chiming in. Says, hey, Josh, I think the best solution to the poor weather for the Phillies tonight is to hold the game till tomorrow and have the couple who wants to have their wedding tomorrow get married during the 7th inning stretch with the fanatic officiating. That's from George Summers Point. Well, George Summers Point, apparently there's now conflicting reports. So Todd Zalecki of MLB.com is refuting the report from the Reds television broadcast team. So apparently the people who are broadcasting the game for the Reds put out this report, that one of the reasons why they didn't want to schedule the game for tomorrow was because of a private wedding that booked the stadium. Well, now Todd Zalecki, who has covered the Phillies for a very long time, is saying that report is wrong. So I don't even know who to believe now. What I do know is the tarp is being pulled off the field as I speak to you. We will have Phillies baseball tonight. We will have another night of Philadelphia sports on the docket. By the way, your lineup for tonight brought to you by Clark's Moving and Storage. Kyle Schwarber, Trey Turner, Bryce Harper, JT Realmuto, Bryson Stott, Nick Castellanos, Brandon March, Whit Merrifield, Johan Rojas. Your pitcher is Zach Wheeler. Yes, no Alec Bohm in the lineup. This is what drives me nuts. Alec Bohm is one of your consistent players the entire year, and you're sitting him with a day off tomorrow. This is what drives me about modern baseball. The stupidity of these people. You have a day off tomorrow. Why does a 25-year-old man need a day off for a day off? I'm Josh Hennick. Have a great night, everybody.
You have the choice, whether it's going out to dinner or ordering takeout at a local restaurant or buying that new outfit from a local boutique. Those choices help to put money back into your community. Town Square Media South Jersey proudly puts a spotlight on local businesses.
Pick-a-Lily Inn. Visit them on Facebook or at pickaalily.com for their pick specials. Nobody beats the Pick-a-Lily. Route 206 in Chemung. Storybook Land. Create your own story at Storybook Land. Manhattan Bagel. Looking for a quick snack or a full meal? Easy to use menu. Customize how you'd like. Place your order and sit back. ManhattanBagel.com has you covered. Start fresh, fast, order online for pickup and delivery. Apex East Roofing. Get a price on your roof in 30 seconds at apexeastroofing.com. And Dennisville Fence. When you want experience, go for the best. Fences, railings, outdoor shower enclosures, and more. Request a quote at DennisvilleFence.com.
Thank you for supporting your local businesses from Town Square Media South Jersey.